Hmm. And it's those kind of things that they're going to see the example of. You may not be the best at, best runner. You may not be the best lifter. You may not be the best XYZ, whatever it is. But if you're out there and you're doing things and you're finishing them, that's what people are going to know you for. They're going to know you as somebody who gets things done. You may not be the best painter at home, but if your kids see you paint half a wall and give up because it doesn't look good, they're going to be like, oh, daddy's somebody starts but doesn't finish. He starts things but doesn't get it done. But even if it doesn't look the best, but you got it done, they're going to take notice.
Are you tired of working more for less profits in your home service business? What if I could show you $100,000 in hidden annual profits in your business in less than 3 minutes? Would you be interested? And not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend guaranteed. Just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com to see how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now.
And welcome back to STS, Sharpen the Spear podcast, with another great guest. I've got Jon Lester with us today. And Jon, welcome to the show. And as we always do, no one knows Jon better than Jon. So give us a little backstory, bring us up to speed, and we'll get into our conversation today.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you, Richard, for giving me the opportunity to be on here. Yes, my name is Jon Lester. I am an educator by trade, but have recently jumped into the life coaching business for men, helping them live better lives, helping them lose weight, helping them to really just become the best versions of themselves.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's get into this first, kind of the first stages of this. So you're gonna help these men. So like, where does that all begin? Does someone go, oh, look, Jon, you can help me, and they come to you, help me, save me, or is it someone just like, wow, I'm really not happy with what I'm doing. I don't really know where to go. So kind of give us a little direction there.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, most men that I work with usually start with weight loss. There are people looking to look and feel healthier. There are people that are looking at what I'm doing, 'cause I'm a big runner and an educator by trade. So I spend my whole life in physical and health education, this kind of what I am driven to do. So they usually come to me and they're like, Jon, I feel out of shape. What can I do? How can I take baby steps to, get my fitness journey better? I feel like my diet's in the toilet, how can I eat better? Anything like that. So they come to me with that, and then we hit the road with getting them in shape, getting them feeling better about themselves, and then taking it from there.
Yeah, that's good. Because I think from the physical component, what I've learned over years and years, right, with my own fitness journey and everything else, that it is a really great place to start because there's a big outward, recognition. You can see it in the mirror. You know what I mean? Like you get it, like, maybe you go up 2 flights of stairs with a briefcase and you're huffing and puffing and you're going, what if I had to carry one of my kids up the stairs, or something like that, or all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a really great place to start. Where do you go from there? So you sort of get them now, they take the baby steps, they get kind of dialed in. And do you just kind of open the door? You ask what else is going on? Kind of how does that work?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the first thing we do is we establish some goals because everybody's got different goals, things they want to be able to do, right? Some of them, it's like you said, being able to play after work with their kids. They work at 9 to 5, they come home, they're spent, and, their 8-year-old, like my son, is out the door saying, Daddy, let's go shoot hoops. And they don't have it in them. Like you said, they're just huffing and puffing. So first thing we do is we get those goals established. And then after that, what we do is we start developing routines and habits, because if we get a routine and a habit established, really good things happen. But if we just kind of wing it, usually we're not going to stay consistent.
Yeah, I think that's really, consistency is the key to success in anything. It's always, can you do it every day? It's like the 4-foot wide oak tree. You got to chop it down, but if you take 3-4 swings a day, eventually it's going to come down, right? Oh. But you're not going to stand there and probably chop it down with an axe in a matter of hours, right? So I really like that. And I talk to a lot of people regarding consistency, and we see that really is what's lacking. Mm-hmm. It's hot for 2 weeks. Well, January's coming up, so we know what happens in the first 3 weeks of January, right? And we see inconsistency begin about the second week, right? So I try not to go to the gym the first couple of weeks. I work outside and do some workouts outside so I don't have to deal with that confusion. But the other advantage, too, is I'm there early. I like to hit the gym about 5:30. And usually that's the same people who are there all the time. So if you want to see the most consistent workout people, go at 5 a.m.
That's right.
They never miss.
That's right.
When I own my gym, the 5 a.m. workout, same people every day, 5 days a week. They're always there. So I always tell people, I get it. Like maybe you're not the morning person, but there's nothing nothing distracting you at that time of the morning. That's why I wake up at 4. I got 6 kids. No one's up. Wife's not up, and it's a good thing. So I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. You talk about that. Yeah, you talk about that, and that is one of the base pillars kind of my coaching thing is establishing that morning routine, because the morning routine truly sets the stage for the rest of your day, mentally, physically, how you perform at work, how you perform at home. It really comes down to how you attack those first couple hours in your day. So I really help people like, okay, let's find time. You may not be a morning person, but you're right. We can establish time there. It's going to take a few weeks. It's going to take some time to get used to it. I myself was never a morning person. I like doing stuff in the evening, but there's something to be said, especially for people with families. If you're trying not to take time away from your family, you're trying not to come home from work and feel like you need to go work out when, your bride's at home hoping that you're going to either cook dinner, help with the kids. It's like, so establishing those things and getting the day started. I mean, before 8 o'clock in the morning, I've gone for my run, which is usually about 4 miles. I've come back. I've had some quiet time for myself. Spend some time reading. I have, had breakfast, helped get the kids out the door, probably messaged a couple people about my business, and I'm out the door. Most people look at me and they're like, are you kidding me? You do that all before like 7:30? I said, yeah. And I feel good about it because it means that my day is moving, right? I'd rather move forward and be proactive than feel like I'm trying to play catch up all day.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I'm saying things. So it's 4 a.m. I get up, I drink 32 ounces of water within 5 minutes of being up, get my mushroom coffee going in the French press. Got that. I have 2 cups of that. I do some Bible study for about an hour. 5:30, I'm out the door to the gym, getting a hard, high intense workout, hitting the bag, doing that whole thing. So by 7 a.m., I've got 70 ounces of water in me, 2 cups of coffee. So I got my 70 by 7. That's what I designed. So I get a really good start of the day with that. Come home, make my breakfast, get that dialed in, get ready, and I'm out the door by 8 too. So now, but I've got 4 hours in already, and I feel amazing. And I don't miss the workouts. If I have to do a late workout, for me, John, I used to be able to do that. I'm just kind of out of gas. I go too hard, and I don't want to be bummed out at my workout because I can't go as hard as I want to because the day takes a toll. But I love your point, though, about that energy at the end of the day. Doesn't mean you have to work out. That may be your thing. But that energy to come home after the day of work and continue for 3-4 more hours. Because I go to bed at 9. Because I get before. So I'm really consistent at the 9 o'clock bedtime. But I do want that energy during that 4 more hours when I get home. I don't want to come and have to just crash on the couch. So that is, do you find that difficult with guys, like really get them dialed in? Is that a nutrition fitness combination? Is it more of a mental fitness, if you will, a positioning in their mind? What do you really find that makes people drag?
Yeah, so it's more mindset than everything. It's really what it is. I mean, because you can go online and you can look up routines, you can look up the nutrition thing, but you can't go on and look about how to change your mind. You really got to work on that yourselves, and you need people to help you do that. You need the accountability piece. And really what the dragging part is the accountability, is that, they do good for a day or two and then life gets in the way and then they miss a day. And one day for a lot of people, if you don't have a solid routine and really strong mental strength, one day turns into 1 week, turns into 1 month, and then you're back where you started or even worse. So having that accountability for someone who's checking in on you and feeling like you're responsible for getting the work done is huge for getting people past that initial, like, okay, I'm going to start. It's like those January 1st people. They're all going to be at the gym, right? They're all going to be at the gym. Usually by the second week in January, most of them have already stopped because they got no accountability. And the mental strength just isn't there.
Yeah, I think the accountability is key, whether it's a training partner, a coach, someone taking you through this stuff, where's the accountability? Also, another thing, part of accountability I always found was logging the workouts.
Yes.
Like, write down what you do. If you're benching, you're lifting, how many sets, how many reps, what'd you do, time in between. Like, I try to get people, because most people are just scrolling on their phone between sets. They ain't logging the workout. Okay, and I'm like, I've learned not to let it bother me anymore, but like, why don't you go home and do that and get off my bench? Sometimes I just, it's just, about my standing little joke is I go, you want to find the most lazy people? go to the gym. They're sitting on a machine. They're watching for 5-10 minutes. They're scrolling their phone. They don't re-rack their weights. They leave everything on the floor against the wall. And I'm just like, and I just put the blinders on, John. I go and I do my workout. Try not to be like, I want to go, dude, pick that up. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
This ain't your home, you know? So, but I think that the accountability aspect and having a program, right? Because accountability is kind of having a program, right? I mean, it's part of your program, the accountability for your program so that you can get this stuff done, because we have to measure what we're trying to progress in.
Exactly.
Right? If we don't measure it, we can't track what we're doing. So is that part of what you do too? Like really give them these goals? You set these time periods and things?
Yep. They have to be tangible. I mean, I teach this. I've taught this for years in the education setting with high school kids. They call them SMART goals for a reason, because they got to be measurable. They got to be something that has some sort of tangible outcome that you can look at that's black and white and be like, did I hit this goal or not? Because otherwise, if it's like just to lose weight, okay, that's great that you want to lose weight, but how much? Like without a specific thing, it's like, okay, my weight fluctuates 3 to 5 pounds daily. I could just say today I lost weight. Maybe it just means that I just naturally lost 3 pounds of body of water weight. They gotta have the tangible pieces that they can track it and see it over time.
Yeah, I think with that is the goal is really good and the tracking is really good. A lot of people get into the why they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you have to have a reason, and like sometimes you have the reason, but it's not really clearly defined. Because, like I tell people, like everything works, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Every diet works, every pill works. But here's the question: what happens when you stop?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question I ask. You got the magic pill. As long as you're taking the pill, you get lean and you stay there. But what happens if you stop? Well, you balloon up to a 300-pound land tuna. You know, so like, well, okay, I don't want to depend on that. Like I'm looking for the permanent result. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop working out.
Right.
You know, but I'm saying, like, some people get into these, and I'll call them gimmicks or whatever they might be. Again, they work until you stop or change. Right. Oh, I'm doing a lot of intermittent fasting, really, really good. Then I stopped intermittent fasting and I put 20 pounds on. I don't think I altered my food. You know what I mean? So it's this, you kind of jumping into metabolism and you're changing these things in the body, whether it's a long enough or not long enough period. So, like, is that, I'm just asking you, is that a point of frustration for you when you're working with people? Or you try to get them dialed in so they're not getting into something like that?
It can be. And that's why we really seek for that why in the beginning, because if they don't have an internal reason, if they don't have that intrinsic motivation to get out there and do something for themselves, and they're just doing it because I tell them to, then it's really just a Band-Aid on a wound. I mean, what's going to happen? It's not a permanent thing. It's not, because they're just going to, after they stop working with me or this or that or miss a day, they're not even holding themselves accountable. I mean, I try to get guys to the point where they're holding themselves. I mean, people ask me all the time, dude, you're running 30 miles a week. Like, what are you training for? Nothing. They're like, oh, well, when's your next race? I don't have one. Well, then why are you running so much? I'm like, lifelong fitness. I want to be able to play with my kids. I want to be able to play with my grandkids in the water. They want to go swimming in the summer. I want to be right in there with them, tossing and throwing and this. And I know that if I don't take care of my body now at the age of 35, it's going to be that much harder to start when I'm 45 or 50 or 55, when all of a sudden I realize, crap, I want to be able to do these things. It's a lifelong commitment. Right. And it's like the better we get started, the earlier we get started, the better the results. That's what drives me every day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do that too. You know, I'm working the heavy bag a lot as a boxer and everything else. And I'm doing 8 to 10 rounds. I'm doing rope, and I work hard. I mean, no one's talking to me while I'm working out. Okay. A lot of treadmills there. And I remember one young kid asked me, he goes, are you training for a fight? Just like you're running. I go, nope, just staying dangerous. And I walk.
Dangerous. Love it.
I'm like, I got to keep my skills sharp. If you have skills, why do you lose them? If you're a good runner, what do you put that on a shelf? You just go out and you run, you know, and you're also testing yourself. I think the point for me is like, can I do it? You know, like, I'm 59, you know, and I'm doing these workouts and no one's working out as hard as me in the gym. You know, it's not an ego thing. It's like, that's how I push myself. So I need to know that I can do that still and keep those skills sharp. And it comes across in my everyday. You know, you have this stuff, you know, I'm able to walk straight up, right? I have great posture. I can walk and move quickly when I'm going somewhere, right? I have purpose when I'm walking. I go in the store, I'm very mission oriented. Like if there's a list, my wife gives me a list. I go in, I get that and only that, and leave. Okay, so I'm not a shopper. I am mission oriented. Okay, so just attack, destroy, get out. Okay, that's what I do. So it works for me.
Love that. Very similar there. Very similar there. Absolutely. No, that's
so.
good.
What are you doing with taking people? So we're doing the fitness thing, right? You got them dialed in. We're starting to work some other stuff in life, but are you setting goals? Well, we begin with the fitness. Now let's go. So a lot of people, when we're talking about their why, okay, it's got to be what I found, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if you see the same thing, is that the fitness thing is it's only a part. And you really have to go deeper with them, because if they're only focused on the fitness, it doesn't necessarily fall flat, and they may do it and continue to do it, but it's incomplete. It's very incomplete. So I think in your position, there has to be more, right? You can't just be a fitness coach, right? Those are out there, but you're doing more than that, right? You're kind of taking them to those next levels. What's that like?
Yeah. So it's really a really holistic life coaching perspective. Yeah, to start with the fitness, because that's some of the easiest things for people to see. That's some of the easiest confidence builders to get rolling and get that momentum that a lot of guys need going in the right direction. And when we get that little bit of confidence, their attitudes perk up. They're like, oh man, what else can I be doing? And it's like, all right, well, let's start looking at the other aspects of your life. How's work? How's the family? What are some things there? How are you doing with your finances? These are all just questions, because I truly believe men are called to lead in their households. They are. They're meant to lead their families. And that's not just in the physical realm. They are an example. I was talking about this the other day with somebody, like, we are called to be an example for those around us. How can we be that example if we're not taking care of ourselves and taking care of our lives? It's great. I mean, it's great we can tell other people to do it, but if they see us not doing it, what good are we? So we really start diving deep into, well, what are some of the other areas in life where maybe you're finding some struggles? What are some ways that we can work through those? And really, it's navigating a lot of times just excuses that come up. A lot of times we have excuses about this or that or other things. Like, for working out, for instance, it's always about time. It's always about time. I don't have enough time. I don't have this or that. Okay, well, if you put down your phone, maybe 3 out of the 4 hours you're on it, maybe you can find a little bit of time here and there to do some activity. I'm not saying you got to be at the gym 3 hours a day, but all activity is good activity. And I bet if you were to really look at yourself, you'd find some time. So the whole, I don't have time is usually throw that right out.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm a big minus excuses. That's kind of part. There's none that are acceptable. I used to have a big thing I put on my gym wall when I had my gym. It was, excuses are the nails used to build the house of failure.
That's right. I love that one.
We just don't take them. It's just do what you can do, right? I mean, there's days like I have a thing. So part of my routine too in the morning, John, is I don't make any decisions before that second cup of my functional mushroom coffee is finished. So I do my meditation, right? I do my study. I drink that when that's done. So the night before, I'm going, dang, I am not working out tomorrow. I never say that. I've stopped. I'm like, it's not time to make that decision. After cup 2, I'll decide if I'm going or not every day. And guess what? I go every day.
Yeah, that's right.
And once that's done, I'm just like, I'm going. And then even if I'm a little hesitant and I get in, I always start with shadow box warm up, right? So I commit to the warm up. So it's like, okay, you got 10 minutes, you're going to warm up. If you still absolutely feel horrible, you don't want to do it. After you break a sweat and everything else, then you can go. I can go home.
Yep.
So never happens. I never go home. Maybe once in just a rare time. If I'm able to break a sweat, I'm into the workout.
That's
now
right.
I have good and great workouts, because I might have the great day where it's that first round of shadow boxing is unbelievable. I am floating in, and I'm like, this is going to be good. You don't want to tear into this. Other times like, yeah, but I get through,
Yeah.
and I'll say, well, how was the workout? Good, not great, but it's good. I did it. That's a good thing. There's other days it was magnificent. I just come down like, it was a great day. I killed it. The bag is crying. Okay, it's crying. It's not just my sweat. It's bag tears, So that's kind of, I've had to train myself too. Like, when do you make these decisions? Like the final decision, like before you pick up the keys and put the shoes on, to head out the door. I kind of learned that. And I started that about maybe a year and a half ago. And I've always been kind of the morning routine guy forever, but that was just my next level And I've increased my commitment. My consistency has been even better because of that. It's really good. I mean, there's days I know that I can't go, so I plan a later in the day workout, which are always just good workouts and not great workouts. But so we have to create these patterns, right, that we can adhere to, like you're saying. Some guys can't do that in the morning, so it's a good thing.
Absolutely. And it's about finding that time. It's about finding where to work, how to work, keeping it to their goals, and then just small things, right? I mean, I know a lot of guys, when they come to me, they're like, I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I want to be able to bench 225 right off the bat. And I'll be like, well, what do you bench right now? 125. I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to go straight for 225. You're just not. But if we start establishing small patterns, small things each day, just a little 1% better. I tell them all day, like, how are you 1% better today? We're not looking for 20% growth, because what happens with 20% growth, we usually backslide 15. But if we have 1% growth over time and you compound and you compound that, you are going to be so much better 1 month, 2 months, 6 months down the road. So don't feel like you got to go out there, and if you're like a 9-minute runner, think you're going to run 7, right? That's a massive jump. But maybe tomorrow you run 8:50 or 8:55. Then the next day you run another couple seconds faster. 1% better is all you need. And that's how you get those great workouts. Because some days are going to be tough, right? Some days you're like, yeah, it was good, not great, but I did it. And that's another mentality piece we talk to the guys, is that some days the workouts are just going to be there. Some days it's going to be a struggle. My legs are heavy some days when I run, and I don't get the times I want, but I'm still showing up. You still got to show up. Still got to show up and do the work.
Yeah, and it's the showing up that's building the resistance, is the time under tension, right? You're still getting time under tension. You went through the workout just because it wasn't the greatest or the heaviest or anything else. Plus, you talk about that 20% jump. Let's add welcome to injury.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going so hard so fast, you're just going to get injured. Now you're totally set back, even though, okay, my shoulder hurts. Well, you got another shoulder, and you got 2 legs, and you got a core, so you can still work out. Work around one shoulder. It's no reason not to be here, right? A lot of other stuff to do. So, I think this is decades of doing this stuff. You start to learn, but it has to be that showing up, the consistency. That's where you win.
Yes.
And they've proven that studies over decades, and the people who are the most consistently fit are the guys who average 3 days a week at the gym. Just 3 days over decades. I was at a club I belonged to in Chicago called the Union League Club. Big money, big hitters, real successful guys. They've been members there 30 and 40 years. At the top, it's a hotel and all business stuff, but then it's like 3 floors of fitness center, right? Pool, gyms, all that stuff. So they're up there, and like every day they're there, before work or at lunch or after work, but for decades. They've been members there 30, 40, and you can tell they work out. They may do similar things all the time, but they'll play handball, they'll play racquetball, they'll do their lifting, they'll be in the pool. But you see this, they're a staple. Like there, you will see them every day. They've created this routine. These are incredibly successful people. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the workout. It's like it's part of who they are. And I think that's really important. If it becomes like you and myself, it becomes part of who we are. It's part of our daily routines and stuff. That's what adds to success, because if you're consistent in those areas, you understand the effectiveness of consistency. Need to be the same thing in the rest of your life, right?
That's right. 100%. Absolutely. You gotta show up, be consistent, because it will transfer over. And, getting guys to understand the consistency piece sometimes is really hard, but getting them past that hump and getting them that consistent, you see like that personal development. It's as much physical fitness that they're doing with me that it is the mental training and becoming mentally the best version of themselves. They're becoming a whole new person because they're starting to be consistent, not just with their fitness, but in all areas of life.
Yeah, I think when I was, because I trained my son, he was a runner, cross country. Then he was a half miler, 800-meter guy. Took him to the Junior Olympics, training for that. Now he's in the Marine Corps, right? So we did 3-a-days for 7 months straight before we went in there. And with him, he was very fit, loved to work out. And it wasn't a weakness, but what we did was pushing the edge. Okay. So what I wanted to do is create the mental fortitude to have that. He's a no quit guy. You know, we just kind of trained that as part of what we did. So it's kind of a next level thing, but he'll do a 40-yard bear crawl, 10 burpees, 40-yard bear crawl, 10. We'll do that 10 times. So there's a quarter mile of burpee, of bear crawls, right? But you'll see him and he'll just, you know, you get to the end, he's just, the arm is shaking, but he's not quitting. He doesn't come out of the position, and he goes, and this has really served him well in the Marine Corps because he has outlasted guys who are, you know, stronger, whatever, because you got to have the head for the head for it. I mean, it's really cool to see, but you can train that. Okay. Some people, there's a kind of a natural thing, but it's not even natural. It's really from life experience. They have this ability to endure and persevere more. But if you can train that aspect into this, the whole model, right? The fitness part, the work part, to being a better man. Because I'm with you, John, on the example we have to lead. Again, I have 6 kids. Same thing, more is caught than taught, right? Kids watch what you do. You can tell them all the right things. But if you're not congruent, if you don't do that, that's what they're going to do. They're not going to do what you said. They're going to do what you do.
That's right. Absolutely. It makes me think, I love how you talked about how it's something you train, like with the mindset piece. And it's so true. It's absolutely true. And I'm doing that right now with my son. My son's 8 years old. And quick story from about a month ago is that he and I it was his first 5K that he signed up for. He did the running school program. Never really been a runner. He and I really didn't train for it much. He played soccer, but, you know, he obviously running a bunch in soccer. So we get to the day of the 5K, and I was like thinking in my head, like, what would be a good time for him? I think I'll around 30 minutes. Why not? So I was like, I had my watch, and I was going to pace him for that and see if he could do it. And my goodness, the kid absolutely showed up. I mean, first mile, it was like 9:15, and it was like when you were jostling back and forth with the other runner, so you really couldn't get a good pace started. Second mile, you could tell, like with most people, they hit that first wall, right? Whenever you are doing something difficult, whether it's a fitness routine that you haven't done because you've been out of shape, whatever it is, you hit that first wall. You hit that first setback. And in his mind, he's like, Daddy, I just need to walk. And I'm like, the water's right around that corner. I said, jog to the water. I said, here, we'll play some music, jog to the water. So he kept going. Because in my mind, I was like thinking every time you stop, it's harder to start again. Just like any other routine too, any other routine in life. When we stop doing something, it's that much harder to start again. So he made it to the water. Next mile, he comes in at like 8:20. And I'm looking down like, oh my gosh, this kid's cruising. I wasn't even trying to pace him at that. Third mile, he hits a couple more roadblocks. Again, just like anybody else, right? Now your heart's beating. Your muscles are shaking a little bit. You're out of breath. Like, I don't think I can do this. Well, I'm telling you right now, whenever you think you can't do something, you actually can do usually a whole heck of a lot more. And so I kept challenging him. Okay, I'm like, all right, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's change your mind. Let's get your mind off of that. Every person you pass is a point from here on out. I'm like, can we get 10 points between here and the last mile? And the kid stopped thinking about his body, started looking at the people. And as we got to the end, I was like, all right, but you're going to sprint this last part. He's like, no, I'm not. But just like most other people, when you see that goal is in sight, you pick it up. He turned that last corner, saw the chute, and the kid took off. And I was planning on 30 minutes. He came in at 26 and a half as an 8-year-old running a 5K. He was the second fastest kid there out of like 800 runners that were under the age of 10. And I was just blown away because in my mind, I'm going, if he can do this, and listening to some of those like cries for help, I'm like, I can't do it. I'm like, I have no reason to give an excuse. Who am I to give an excuse if he just put himself through this? Right. I mean, come on. So being able to push past setbacks is what really leads to that growth, because when things are easy, anybody can do them. But the truly successful people are going to push past those setbacks. They're going to push past those mental barriers, those physical barriers that they have.
Yeah, I think when people set a goal, I go, well, if you can obtain it, if it's easy to obtain, it's not really a goal.
No.
Okay, it's just a task. That's a task. Yeah. That's not a goal. A goal, you got to be stretching yourself. And that's a great run for him at that young age. You know, my son, running cross country, start with a mile, and then he was doing the 5Ks. And he never, loved it. He loved the 800. But he did the 5K, went to state. They did all this stuff. We won the championship. We did stuff like that. But the 800 was, where we really trained. And he wanted to commit to get to the Junior Olympics. He's like, he needs to train me. And got him another kid was training partner, and they killed it. He got there. Now, the old story, right? Big fish in a little pond.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You're pretty good now. And then you go there, also there's 16,000 people in the stands. You're on the big track. We're down in North Carolina, and he gets smoked. So, the whole just not even, you know what I mean? It's like these guys are running
humbled
5 seconds faster, 6 seconds faster, and he's just done angry, right? He's also a discus guy, right? So he qualified for that as well. Really good for good. And this is a mental lesson. So I'm like, they got their bibs and everything else. It's Junior Olympics, right? You got all that stuff. So now we got to throw discus, and I take them. My wife drops us off. She goes back to the hotel. We took the whole family down there, and I'm like, well, where's your bib? He goes, no, I threw it out. I go, you threw it out? Well, you can't compete without that. Well, I threw it out. I go, because he was really angry that he just did not perform. It was like 90 plus degree, whatever. I don't care, but I'm like, dude, this is a national championship. It's like, so you got the best in the country here.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, we came in, Andy's running in an older age group because where his birthday landed. So when you're 14 and you're running against 15, 16-year-olds, that's a big difference, maturity-wise.
Huge difference.
And I'm like, dude, you still hung in there. And then, so I'm like, now I could get him another bib for $10, go pay $10, get another bib so he can compete in the discus. And he goes, I don't care. I go, oh, you don't care? All right. And I called his mother. I said, honey, why don't you come pick us up? She goes, what are you talking about? I go, he's not throwing. I'm not going to get the bib. You're not going to throw the disc. You're making a choice right here, and you can live with that. Because he's really, like, you could do really well, but you're not gonna. I said, and he goes, well, I don't want that bib anyways. I go, well, but your mother would. And you will want it 10, 20 years from now. You're going to want that, saying that you're the one time you did Junior Olympics, right? So this was an exercise, right? In like understanding, like, you let some emotion get in the way here, buddy.
Yeah.
You made some permanent decisions on temporary emotions. And I've trained you that we don't do that, so, and now that was a really great lesson. As much as we would have liked that, everything else, it's like it was really good. And I think it's apropos to what we're talking about. It doesn't matter if you're 14 or 44, right? Or 59, like me. You've got to understand, when you're making these choices and you're training for something, like you said, having the why and putting in the discipline. So we call it the 3Ds: discipline, diligence, and determination. When you have these 3 things, they all go together. But if you put all 3 together, that's where a lot of success comes from. But we have to understand that we have to make these additions when we're fatigued, right? When we're pushing hard. That's the best time to train yourself to make the right decision, right? It's really cool. Like, you can put these people in these positions, these situations, and then make them, you have to choose. Are you going to cross the line, or are you going to quit here? It's that quit or just, you can be last, but you're going to cross the finish line. The one where John, I was at a cross country meet that my son was in, and the girls were running. So I'm at the the lab. We got like 40 yards till you go in the chute, right? And this girl's running, and she's running out. She's kind of crying. She's in pain, and she's kind of, and she stops. She's bent over and everything else. I think she fell or something. She's on hands and knees, and everyone's just, oh, you'll be okay. And I'm like, I don't know who she was, John. I laid into her. You get up, get on your feet. You're going to cross that finish line. You do not want to live with this. Get up. I don't care if you puke on yourself. People are like, dude, take it. I'm like, get up. And I made her like crawl to the finish, and she crossed, and I just disappeared into the crowd. So I'm like, I don't know where her parents coming, but I'm like, I said, I don't care. Maybe she'll remember it, but you have to finish.
You do.
You aren't going to die. You're not going to die. But the thought of living with quitting 40 yards from the line, you don't want to live with that.
No.
I wouldn't. I mean, yet I don't care if it's last. You crossed. That's what matters. That's what's going to make you better, regardless of the place, the place you finished in. So, I'm a little nutty. I just don't like seeing anyone quit. I don't like seeing anyone quit. You entered, finish,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the worst thing people can live with is the feeling of regret. I mean, that's the thing that kills anybody's dreams, hopes, goals, is that idea of regret, right? Because if they don't live up to it and they do quit, what are they going to do? They're going to regret it 5, 10, 15. They'll probably never try again. But even if you said, they just finish, even if it's not the best, even if she had to crawl across the last 40 yards, she won't look back and think of, I didn't finish. She's going to be like, I finished that race. Doesn't matter if I crawled. I finished.
Yeah.
And that's a huge mindset piece.
Yeah, I think it can change your life.
It can.
I think that ability to go that last 40 in that situation will change your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll look back on the next hard thing and go, well, I did that. I can do this. It's getting you closer to doing more and better things. I think that's why it's so important to really be a finisher.
Mm-hmm.
The saying, there's many starters, very few finishers.
That's
Finishing's a big deal to me.
It is.
You got to finish what you start, whatever
Absolutely.
that is. And it's not an OCD thing. It's literally a mindset like, just complete it. Yeah, it's ugly. It's ugly. It's not great. It's just, but you finished. And that's more important to you as a human being, as a man, especially. To me, that finishing is incredibly important.
Mm-hmm. And it's those kind of things that they're going to see the example of. You may not be the best at, best runner. You may not be the best lifter. You may not be the best XYZ, whatever it is. But if you're out there and you're doing things and you're finishing them, that's what people are going to know you for. They're going to know you as somebody who gets things done. You may not be the best painter at home, but if your kids see you paint half a wall and give up because it doesn't look good, they're going to be like, oh, daddy's somebody starts but doesn't finish. He starts things but doesn't get it done. But even if it doesn't look the best, but you got it done, they're going to take notice. People notice these things. They're going to notice if you only go halfway, or if you're somebody who gets the job done.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That the halfway stuff, that's not really something I can tolerate. It's just,
Nope.
I'd rather see it. I'm into imperfect action. That's what I teach. Imperfect action. Just begin. It's momentum, right? You get going and you can keep going. Make progress, make mistakes, correct on the fly. You can't ride a bicycle in a straight line. It's impossible. You're always adjusting. You're never in a straight line, but you still ride the bike, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still get where you want to go, but we're walking, same thing. We're always adjusting left and right. That's life. If you understand that, we understand where we're going. So we have that true north, if you will, but we understand we're going to go to the left. We're going to go to the right. We're going to come back. We're going to keep recentering ourselves. It's like pinging radars. It's like pinging radar towers, right? We got to understand that that's what we're doing, to get through that. So I think if you're doing that with men, if they understand that concept, it's got to help. It's all about navigation, right? That's basically what you're helping guys do. You're trying to help them navigate this life and what they're trying to accomplish, right?
That's right. Yeah, trying to get men to find out what they want and how to get there, knowing that, like you said, it's never going to be a straight line because you are going to hit setbacks. You're going to hit, life's going to throw you curveballs, but it's how you respond to them. It's how you are gritty. I use the word grit a lot because life is a gritty process. And if you have somebody that has ambitious goals, you're going to be outside your comfort zone. That's one thing I stress is the beginning of growth starts outside your comfort zone. What do you learn when things are easy? You don't, because your brain goes in other directions. You get on autopilot. You're not even focusing on it. But when you are pushed, your brain has to focus on it because it's uncomfortable. It doesn't know exactly what to do. And you got to think a little bit differently. And sometimes it's going to go well and sometimes it might not. But that's where learning happens. Learning happens on the failures, and you got to fail to succeed. That's the other thing. It's like some guys are like, well, what happens if it doesn't work? Well, then we make adjustments. You adapt and you overcome. Not everything's always going to work. But failure sometimes is necessary to see the growth and the success. And sometimes they just don't understand that, and getting them to see that and treat it and be able to reflect back and be like, okay, that didn't work. Why not? What can I do differently? Sometimes the reflection is huge. It's a really big, important concept with guys that are starting these routines. Like you said, it's for people that when they're making these progress gains, it's really good to celebrate the little victories. It's really great to celebrate the fact that, oh, I got to do an extra push-up today that I couldn't do yesterday. Maybe I'm not at my goal yet, but I did one more. I'm moving forward. Right. So those are just a couple thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's so important to understand that failure is just a stepping stone. It really is. It's the quitting that you want to avoid. So big difference. Failure and quitting are not the same thing. Failure is just a place. Quitting's an end.
Yes, it is.
Okay. You're just at a place in failure, and failure is just it's like problems. I always tell people problems are just opportunities. Mm-hmm. Failure is an opportunity. It's like you said, an opportunity to reflect and to grow and go, okay, I coach now because of my great failures.
Mhm.
I couldn't be the coach I am today if I didn't have those failures, honestly.
Right.
Like, who never loses? That'd be nobody.
Nobody.
Okay? Like, the whole idea, what makes someone great is they can lose today and come back tomorrow and play again.
Mhm.
That's what it's about. It's anyone can win.
That's right.
Win is like, yay, I won, I get a trophy or whatever. But can you lose? My son can be last, okay, and keep doing it. Don't quit and never run again.
Mhm.
Like, and he's far exceeded all that from that experience, right? That just made him so much better. It was hard. It was a rough spot. It was a lot of mindset work and, readjusting things. But the cool thing, John, like I noticed in him, he started sharing the stuff he learned, like we were
Mhm.
working through with his friends who were like struggling, like an identity and stuff like that. He's like, no, man, you can't, don't be caught up in being a wrestler. You want to do this as a wrestler isn't who you are. It's just what you do.
That's
But it's
right.
not who you are. Cause I had to walk him through that. And one time when he was racing the fastest guy in the mile, they're battling, coming into the chute, John, elbows. I mean, you're talking side by side. It was awesome. And the kid beat him by, that little, tiny little bit, right? Half step, the kind of
Mhm.
thing. And he just went into a funk for like
Mhm.
a week, and
Oh,
finally
wow.
my wife and I came in, I go, what are you doing? She goes, well, you don't understand. Like, I'm the best runner. They depend on me to do this, and they're all about it. I'm like, dude, I'll tell you what, like, you think you have to do that? You are not what you do. That is not what
Mhm.
your identity is. I can give you a stack of books from here to the ceiling on great athletes who was over in a snap,
That's
a
right.
snap of a knee, a snap of a neck, done, never doing it again. What are they supposed to do? That's who they are? No, that's not who they are, right? You have a gift right now and you can use it.
Mhm.
Okay, but this is not who you are. You need to understand that, So, and for me, it's, his identity is in Christ, right? So we have that biblical worldview. I'm like, that's where
That's
your
right.
identity is. That is who
Mhm.
never leaves or forsakes you, man. That's what you got. You focus on that. Use the gifts. You're a great artist. You're a great athlete. Do this stuff. Understand that. And then when you see him sharing that years later with his friends, dude, it's like unbelievable. I like this. I'm like, dang. It's like, you don't even, like, I still move. I'm like, wow, that's
the dad
he
moment.
listens.
Proud dad moments.
That's right. That's right. It's really
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, it's just that. And now he's in the Marine Corps and he's leading guys, these other kids. I'm
That's
calling
awesome.
them kids, because you look at them and go, dang, were they 12? Forget, I was one, right? I went in when I was 17. I'm like, that's what I look like, but they're going to him because
Mhm.
he's a leader. Guys are dropping and he's just persevering and watching the bodies fall, getting dropped from MSG school, all this stuff. And it's like, he's just become that man who's been through
Yeah.
all this stuff. Even at now he's 20 years old. It's not about me. It's him, like, really grasping that, understanding these concepts that you're talking about. And
Mhm.
and now he's applying it in them and being challenged every day. And he's thriving in that environment where other
Mhm.
guys are just falling out. And it has been that way for a year now. He's watched guys drop and not make it, and he's still going. And it's just so great to see. But I'm excited for his future
Yes.
because of who he is right now, the
Mhm.
stuff he can accomplish, and he's super goal oriented.
I love that.
And I have learned a lot from him. Okay, I've taught stuff, but I'll tell you what, I go, oh man, I need to be more like him. So, and I think that's an awesome thing, right?
It is.
Because that's kind of the process. But yeah, really awesome.
Mhm.
It's good stuff. Wow.
Mhm.
So, John, let me ask you then, how can people, if they want to work with you, they want to just get to know you, kind of build that relationship, where do they go? Give us a website or whatever else you got going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, so my coaching business is called the Relentless Pursuit 247. And because of a lot of the things that we've talked about is that when you truly have a goal in mind and that you really refined it and know what it is, and you are going all in on it, you are going to relentlessly pursue that. And that's the kind of guys I'm looking for, guys that know what they want to get, or at least have an idea of it that we can reshape and put them on the path to it. So it's that relentless pursuit. It's that pursuit even when you're exhausted. I have a quote on my watch. Every time it lights up, it says exhausted yet pursuing. And it's a constant reminder to myself all day long that when I'm feeling down or I'm wiped or this or that, I can look down and I can be like, all right, I might be exhausted, but I'm still pursuing. So it's called the Relentless Pursuit 247. That's at .com. I'm also going to be found on Facebook just by searching Jon Lester. That's it on Instagram. I'm Coach Lester 0824. You can find all my material up there, things like that. I have a group on Facebook that's free. That's a lot of weight loss, nutrition, leadership type information. It's a free group for people just to kind of get in, see what I'm all about. But you did mention one thing, Richard, I just want to kind of end with, which was the identity piece. I share with you that same biblical worldview of our identity in Christ. And that's one thing I try to teach all my men is, what is your identity? Who says what your identity is? And to really lean into that, because a lot of times they come in and they're just like, they're giving themselves attributes. I'm no good. I'm fat. I'm lazy. I don't do this. And I'm like, who says that? You say that? What gives you the right to say that? Because guess what? I have other things that tell me otherwise that say who you are. You're loved. You are somebody who is cherished. You are somebody who's chosen and actually called to do something. So it's teaching that identity piece as well. Really big. But I do just like what you're talking about. I'm like, oh, absolutely. That's a huge part of my program too. So
yeah, well, that's great to hear, John, because we are made for a time such as this.
We are.
You know, you're who God says you are. We're here to do what we're here to do. Like, so I'm glad that you hit all that stuff. We're really aligned that way. And I think it's important that we mention it for a lot of reasons. Some people get uncomfortable, whatever. Like, so this is a coaching thing. Okay. You have to be aligned with your coach. A guy can be an amazing coach, like he gets results and does it with certain people. But if you're not aligned with that, you're not going to get the results. You know, you could be even influenced improperly, right? Mm-hmm. Because you really have to know. And that's why I say, how do they get to know you, right? Kind of know who you are, where your values based, you know, what is the real outcome we're looking for here? It is awesome because otherwise if you can align that way, it's exponential growth.
Yes,
right. Your results are you're going to compress time a lot faster because there's a confidence in you. Like if you and I train together, okay, right. There's a confidence in us. We understand we're on the same path, you know, and I don't mean just for physical results or whatever. Like our worldview is the same. We understand who we serve. Right, what we do, why we do it, and everything else. So it's important that people know this, and I'm glad we hit this right here at the end because it can save them a lot of wasted time. Some people aren't there right now; they don't get what that is. But the people who are, it's a great connection. It's really, really awesome. I got to tell you. So it's been great, John. Thanks for sharing all this today and just letting me talk too. You know, you both kind of kicking stuff around. This is great, man. And congrats with your son. I mean, 8 years. My son started running about 8 years old too. That's when he started, you know, doing that stuff too. So start them young. Mm-hmm. I'm at the gym at 6 in the morning, and when I see a family, so this morning they got a couple kids and they're on the treadmill, and they're helping them. I'm like, this is so awesome. Like, this is what it's about. You as a family are here at 6 in the morning. Like, I don't care what you're doing something.
That's right.
You're showing them how to walk on the treadmill. I'm like, this is. They don't. I don't think they even know. Maybe they know, but like, these are the memories you want to implant in your children. Like, it's okay to go to the gym. It's part of what we do. It's really cool. So yeah, we could talk forever. It's just good. So well, John, I appreciate it. All your info will be in the show notes. I'll have all that stuff. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today and just bringing your wisdom to the whole audience. And I really appreciate you, man. So, and for the audience, thanks for joining STS Sharpen the Spear podcast, and we will see you on the next one. And don't forget, revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. So if you want to see how I can show you at least $100,000 in hidden annual profits in less than 3 minutes, and not only show you where, but how to create that 100K in 6 months or less without additional advertising or marketing spend, guaranteed, just go to sharpenthespearcoaching.com. See how truly simple it is. That's sharpenthespearcoaching.com. Do it now.